seated. I'm swimming in, happiness this morning. I want to bring to you the newspaper review segment here on Pan-African Television. It's always exciting when it's Friday because, Charlie, the weekend start with that. And we can go about our weekend activities. Yeah, during the week it's crazy. It's all pump and action and things like that. But when it's Friday, Charlie, that one, we can, simmer down. We can simmer down a little bit. Right, so my name is Kwame Ousted. So for those of you who are first-time watchers, I am the king of all the presenters in Ghana. Yeah, I mean, I've arrogated it to myself. Definitely, I'm the number one. Call it the primus inter pares, the creme de la creme, El Supremo, El Chapo, El Capitano of the moment. But that did delay. Anyway, so a special good morning to those of you who are watching us in Nigeria, Senegal, Mali, Burkina Faso, Togo, Abidjan, Lesotho, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Mali, Liberia, Miami, wherever. Is this that you're watching us this one? Yeah, it's truly. Cape Verde, everywhere. A big thank you to you for choosing Pan-African Television. I'm excited when I see my panelists seated, and they are indeed seated. Let me quickly share with you the topics, and then I'll introduce my panelists for today's conversation. Military junta frees ousted Gabonese president. They said he's free to move about. He can travel. He can, and I believe it's for the purposes of seeking medical, attention. And but yes, he's allowed now to move around. And also, NDC sues Eyisi, long overdue, over limited voters registration exercise. Republic Press. IGP fires COP Mensah, 2 others over leak tape. Well, I do recall that I told you a while ago that interdiction has been rescinded, and the reason behind that decision is to allow, according to the subsequent letter which was released, to allow Parliament to finish with its probe before. But I disagree. Now I'll explain to you why. As Gracia, Labour Express urges government to listen to concerns of Ghanaians. These are the topics that we have chosen for our conversation this morning. Mr. Eyisi is here. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
I trust you are well.
I'm good, like
very well. And also Comrade Bernard Mornah is also here. Good morning to you, comrade.
Morning, sir.
Compañero.
I'll tell Sister Amma not to give you lunch today.
Why?
Because of the accolades and all.
Well, let's quickly go to Gabon and discuss, what has transpired. Of course, we do know that the military took over a week or two ago. There have been, some issues emanating from the takeover. What we are learning this morning is that the junta has now, the leader of the junta has now allowed the president some form of freedom. What do you make of it?
Yeah.
There are some conspiracy theorists, who are saying that I think this was even planned from the bedroom of Ali Bongo, to mastermind his own ousting for the purposes of entrenching the stay or the stay of the family of the Bongos.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning, Kwame. Good morning to Chairman. Good morning to your production crew and viewers across the length and breadth.
I thought you were going to say good morning, Ohima, but it's fine.
Good morning, Ohima. I say give me the retention fee. I want to retain you as my counsel.
Bernard says he won't talk.
He's a gentleman.
So on that, I also say good morning to Ivy, Dede, Nakite.
Who is she?
She knows herself.
Okay.
Yeah, you didn't see Ivy serving Kwame and I coffee.
Oh, yes, it's true.
And Kwame even passed a comment.
It's true, yes. What comment was that? I've escaped my mind.
I will not be the one to utter that one.
Please, I am not part of this conversation.
It was a weekend comment.
But how did this young
No lunch for you.
you may carry problem for my head. Anyway, you see, you can only go. You said my job is to what? My job is to what? Expose. Your job is to defend. No. Oh, what an honest politician. Please, let's proceed. Thank you.
Good morning to my General Secretary, the affable. Can I go? Yes, okay. Yeah, I said I disagree with God. Because, one, he had just won an election, albeit fraught with some unfairness and others. I had described this coup in Gabon as a counter coup, so I supported it. Yes, I supported it, and you know, but the conspiracy theorem analysts are not far from right anyway, because you see that this new leader seems to be a relative, and so people are right to then begin to make inroads as to why it is so. That I think health would be part of the reasons the international community would have impressed upon the coup makers to look at the man's health. And two, I think the man succeeded in his call on all of us to make noise. You remember? And you made noise.
I made noise. There's even a song. There's even a song.
Yes.
Make noise. Make noise. My friends, make noise. My wife, make noise.
Getting that English line because he's a French and Portuguese scholar, and, you know.
But I'm told it's because they want to move away from, you know, the French, and join Commonwealth. Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's apart from that angle, I support them, but I don't support the coup. I support the Gabonese coup because it's a counter coup. Yes. So that is the situation. And let me say, I'm happy with the military junta for freeing the man and allowing him to go.
What?
Health situations. He has the right to move for medical attention and all that. It's good, you know. His health is not complete, and he needs to be having medical checkups and so on that humanitarian grounds, I commend the military team for that, so that the man can attend to his health needs. People of Gabon, you know, let's see how it goes. It's all for Africa. If it's a counter coup, what we will entreat them to do is not to stay or hold on to power for long. I don't think they should be there more than 3 months. I don't know what the plans are, but as a counter coup, they need to organize a fresh election and allow the civilians to take over.
Right.
What are you laughing?
Let me read the messages. I can't remember that. I think this morning the messages came in very early.
Very early. We were excited from the get-go.
One of my very good friends and big uncle, Reverend Jojo Jepigabra.
Yes,
you know him.
He
was with formerly GDC. Said, Kerry, good morning. El Capitano. La Faula, long time, my brother, my Elmina brother.
Yeah.
Good morning to you, Reverend Father Jojo Jepigabra, the one and only. I trust you are well.
He's interviewed me a lot of times.
Yeah. So yes. And he was there for me when my mom died.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when we were burying my mom, he was there for me.
Oh, that's good. Well, are you Anglican?
We will talk about that. I'm an African. That's all I can say.
I hear.
Hello and good morning to George and Bernard. Yes, so he says good morning to you.
Yes.
I like your jolly turnout this morning. Clinton Chooks, who is now become my favorite viewer, says good morning, Kwame, and to your wonderful guest. Tell Honorable that he said I should tell you Yes. Or put it on. You can put it on a chair. Yes, fine. Or even on your lap, anywhere, so that we can get a receiver. Okay. Yeah, very well. Thank you. Then, good morning, Kwame, and to your wonderful guests. Tell Honorable, that's you, that his smile and laughter is a very good gesture. But defending the MPP is very difficult. But you do, he says, but he does it with a smile. You know, so, yeah. Okay, so I mean, these are the messages for this morning. I'm sure the other ones will come for the African stuff. But Bernard, let me come to you. You're done with your submission on Gabon. Bernard, let me come to you on Gabon.
The senior
I know. Yeah. So now, me and you, we are students.
Yes,
so we are coming to listen.
Yes. Well, ABA Husseini, I'm told, is on the way.
That's good. We need him too.
And then he has been a Pan-Africanist probably before I stepped foot in Accra. And he's been writing.
I've been his students in the Daily Graphic.
Daily
I've always said that.
But first, let me salute
International Affairs.
Your technical crew in particular, who have always been behind the scenes working, and yet they are not seen as the people who make this program a success. It's important to commend them for a solid job done. And of course to Eyisi and yourself for coming this morning. Eyisi, I couldn't have agreed with the messenger that said that your smiles brightens the day, but defending the MPP is the most tedious assignment.
It's rather easy and lovely.
It's the most tedious assignment, but I can understand why it's easy and lovely, particularly when the journalist and lawyer Kwame said that he has so many revelations about ownership of Achimota Forest. And you said it's not true. And Kwame wanted to say, look, then you said his duty is to expose. And yours is to cover.
I didn't say cover. You didn't say master tactician is there.
Since your duty is not to expose but to cover.
The word machination. Yeah, he's the machine behind the machination.
So, I have no difficulty. Of course, we hold our balls. We are true gentlemen.
Okay. That is why we disagree all the time. Because I'm fellow.
That is why he will be a good MP. He will be a very solid MP. I'm just waiting for the nominations to see him in Parliament. Even in the midst of the struggles, he can beam Parliament with a smile.
Oh yes,
that will suit the situation.
Oh yes. Which constituency again? Which constituency?
No, we'll talk about that.
Oh,
come on.
Yes, in the Eastern region.
In the Eastern regions. Okay. Because we need people like you in Parliament. I'll be very honest, you know.
Kwame, first and foremost, I think that Africa is freeing itself. And off camera, you were asking, or even I think you were talking about the issue of most of the French beginning to speak English. If you go to Rwanda, where you schooled.
Now they are part of Commonwealth.
Rwanda is a French country colonized by France. They have decided that they will no longer use French as their national language, and they are severing ties, or they have severed ties with France. So in Rwanda, English has been chosen as an official language.
Yeah. And they have joined the Commonwealth in 2012,
Even though I feel that that is a useless institution called Commonwealth. We liberated ourselves from the Queen and the King of England. We decided to put ourselves together, those of us who are liberated, to put ourselves and go and hand ourselves back to the control and dominance of the same British people, and say that we are the Commonwealth.
If you think about it, this is modern colonization.
You understand? To now, they didn't come back to us. We struggled, we fought them, they killed us, they destroyed us, they took the wealth from us. They took our culture, they took a certain significant portion of Africanness from us. Then we decide that after we have attained independence, resubmit ourselves in a different form, willy-nilly, and tell them that we are now under your control. We are the Commonwealth. and other people want to come and join, the Commonwealth should not be entertained. I think that it is now an extended colonialism, but this time not imposed by the British, but we submitted ourselves to it. So you will see that from Rwanda, these African leaders who have been former colonies of France are simply saying that enough of the treachery of France. And so it is of no surprise that when Ali Bongo got the chance to make a statement to the world,
He spoke English.
He spoke English because they are trying to take themselves out of the yoke of France. And so they want to set that example that they are no longer interested in being under French and what have you. Now, if you go to Burkina Faso, even as they are calling for the denationalization of French, if you go to Mali, they have adapted about 13 different languages that they can speak and teach in Mali, so that becomes their new national languages that they can deal with. So obviously, many people are drifting away, and I would think that instead of us to continuously subject ourselves under Francophone, or what do we call it, the Francophone and then Commonwealth, we should find African languages. We can use Kiswahili. We can use Yoruba or Igbo. We can use Hausa, in my opinion, which is very popular. Right? Because if you start from here, you can speak Hausa from here, through to Togo, to Benin, to Nigeria, and cut across and come back. We can use Twi.
Even in Ethiopia, some parts of Ethiopia.
Yeah, understand. You can speak. So we should begin to look at African languages that are popular, that we can learn. And that is how come that is important that we begin to think about the Africanness and not to constantly think about Commonwealth or Francophonie. The other important aspect of this is that today, the people of Gabon can begin to smell a fresh leaf of leadership. And this is what I have said time without number, that when we students, we go into the classroom, the teacher comes to write good material on the board. When that good material expires and we need to put new material, what do we look for? We look for a duster.
Yeah, okay.
It may be a rag of no essence. But at that time that we need to wipe out what is no longer needed, you go and take that rag, and that rag becomes a useful material to wipe out before new ones can be set. What is happening within the African state now is that the old material that is no longer useful and significant to the new challenges confronting the Africa people is now being wiped away by the rag we call the duster. And that is how come the militarization of Africa has become essential. But after we have wiped out, we have to put and install new ones, which new ones will now understand that, look, if you go that same trend that your predecessors were doing, coup d'etats are not unavoidable. They are not avoidable. They will come because, look at Burkina Faso. When France indicated to Ibrahim Traoré that France will suspend aid to Burkina Faso, he called their bluff. He said, for 63 years, you have been giving us aid. We have not overcome poverty. So if you don't give us aid, we will still be the poor people that we are. So take away your aid and let us chart our path. That is to call their bluff. And by that, it means that they are going to do things as Sankara did to ensure that they become self-reliant and to feed themselves.
This is possible.
No, look, between 1972 to 1975, when Achampong was in power, he delivered a speech that was written by Dr. A.O. Asibi Abudu. And in that speech, he said that Kanu Yentuya, in fact, they call it the Yentuya speech. Many people of history will understand this. He called it the Yentuya speech. When he finished delivering the speech, the next morning, the IMF and World Bank packed out. They packed out of Ghana. And they said that if the government now says that they will not pay the debt, and you can imagine what Achampon said later would be said by Thomas Sankara at the Organization of African Unity.
Yeah.
You understand? So he said we cannot pay the debt because the debt is a form of reconquest. The people stole from us. They became wealthy and they decided to take part of that wealth and loan to us. And they say that we owe them. So we will perpetually continue to service these debts. We are never able to overcome the debts. And so he said, can we enter? They packed out of Ghana, thinking that by leaving Ghana, Ghana will collapse. That was when Achampon launched his Operation Feed Yourself. Operation Feed Your Industry, Operation Feed Your Forest, Operation Feed. So every Ghanaian worker, like your garden here, your frontage here, you will not be seeing grass there. You will come and see tomatoes, you see okra, you see. That is what Ghanaians were asked to do. So that instead of wasting water to take care of what you call grass, you use that water to take care of edible things on the soil. Kwame, Ghana became food self-sufficient. Within that same period, Ghana was able to export in excess of 30,000 tons of sugar. The World Food Program was buying maize from the people of Ghana. And you know food constitutes a major portion of every Ghanaian's income. 50 to 80% of Ghanaians' incomes are expended on food. These days, go and try Gobe, and you understand how much you spend on food when you calculate your income. So obviously, look, anytime leaders begin to hold themselves, Kwame, they force themselves to learn the way to become self-reliant. In Libya, when they decided to impose ban on Libya, they imposed economic sanctions on Libya. The government of Gaddafi chose a new path of self-reliance, and Libya became self-reliant so much that Libya liberated itself from any international financial encumbrances. If you go to Cuba, which is that 60 miles away, 90 nautical miles from the United States, when bans were imposed on Cuba, Cuba forced itself to become self-reliant. They trained their own persons to become doctors, which now they export. They had everything that Cuba can need and use. So when they impose sanctions on you, those sanctions necessarily doesn't limit your ability. In fact, it rather gives you opportunity to look inward and to expand. That is what the new crop of what I call the wipers, that are creating a new sense of understanding of Africa, they are doing. There is no doubt that Odimba or Ondimba is a sick man. Everybody knows that he suffered stroke. Everybody also knows that the president that has taken over, what's the name? Brice Ngwema. Brice Ngwema is a cousin to Ali Ondimba. So if they decide that, look, we'll give you access, you can travel, go and take care of your medicals, and then you can come back as and when you want, I don't think that is a problem. The number of assets, landed property that Ondimba, Ali, Bongo owns, probably when he goes, he may not come back. And I'll be wondering, when they want him to come back, whether they will get him to come back, if there are any trials to be done, except in situations where, when he has to travel, he has to go with government, assigned persons. When he finishes his medicals and he needs to come back to Gabon, he will come back. But Kwame, doesn't this tell a sad story of the African situation? Look at the wealth that is controlled by the Bongo family. And Gabon doesn't have up to standard hospitals to take care of the sick. And that when they are sick, they have to go out. This man could import snow from Europe so that they will come and hang the snow to be falling for him, his wife and kids to walk on. That Africa, there is snow that fell in Gabon. He did that, imported snow. They took a plane, went and gathered snow and brought it to Gabon so that he and his children would snow Christmas. They had it in Gabon. This is a man who will go and bring Lionel Messi, who will go and dress in like a, what do you call it? You saw the dress. Lionel Messi was wearing a t-shirt and some faded short jeans. And the president was in suit, kuntai, being like a tethered goat. Then they had to parade, and it was millions of dollars that they had to use. You could not use those resources to put up a world-class medical facility in Gabon, so that in times of this nature, Gabonese will not have to travel. Kwame, that is the sad aspect of African leadership. What I do know is that we farmers and hunters, we go into the bush, right? Hunt or produce and bring home. But what we see of African leaders is that they rather take from home and take outside. African leaders are not behaving intelligent. Instead of you to go out there and bring into Africa, you rather take African resources, steal African resources, and take it outside to go and build. Go to France and see Emperor Bokassa's palace in dilapidations. Go and see, what's the name? Mobutu Sese Seku's palace in France, in dilapidation. And African wealth has been starched because we have a certain crop of foolish leaders who think that they must go take what belongs to Africa and go and give it to other countries and say that they are having a better life. We will be able to create that better life if that amount of money stolen were invested in Africa. Kwame, that is the sad aspect. Today, you want to seek medical care. You can go outside because you are rich. What about the other Gabonese who may be in the same situation as you are, who may not be able to afford a flight? So, yes, his freedom of movement should be granted, but I would have thought that the military would have said that the hospitals that the people of Gabon attend in Gabon, Ali, Ondimba, Bongo, must also attend the same hospitals, such that any leader that is coming will know that if you don't develop the medical sector, tomorrow when any calamity falls you, the Pau City medical facilities that we have are those that will also be subjected to. That will send a signal to all of us that our leaders must be up and doing. See, when this man was sick, our vice president, do you recall our vice president? We were told that he suffered some poisoning, he collapsed and whatever. They had to carry him out of Ghana. When Ken Ofarata was sick, they had to carry him out of Ghana. President Akufo-Addo has been said to be going for a routine medical checkup outside of Ghana. What crop of leaders do we have that will not be able to put facilities that will ensure that we are able to do our routine medical checkups here?
You speak fundamentally of how you believe that these schools that we are seeing on the continent is sort of a decolonization exercise.
Certainly.
You know? But how do you think we can achieve that comprehensively, completely?
Kwame, last week,
and I wanted you, and I'm deliberately asking you this question because I want you to sort of try and expand the argument into areas such as education, for instance. Because you speak about language, you speak about, you know, if we can have a commonality in language so that can define who we are. And that can, because China has done that, India has done that. They are still stuck with their languages and they are making progress. So education and how it plays, and how it played and continues to play a major role in the neo-colonialism exercise by the West. That is, for me, I think it's important. What is the form of education that we practice? What have they imposed on us? Why are we still, you know, clinging onto the educational system which serves their interests as opposed to our interests as Africans?
Kwame, first and foremost,
and I'll let you also touch on it.
Won't we celebrate the two regimes of Mali and Burkina Faso? The Prime Minister of Burkina Faso made one of the sterling speeches in which he said, it was a joint meeting, in which he said that, look, Burkina Faso and Mali are one. So they should start thinking about organizing a common currency that the two countries can start, right, away from the CFA. Number one, that they should have a joint military because they are one people. And they should in future be thinking about having one head of state. This is the Prime Minister of Burkina Faso talking.
But this was from Kwame Nkrumah's speech in 1963.
Yes, this is the Prime Minister of just Ibrahim Traoré's government that is talking. The so-called elected leaders that we have, what are they into? Kwame, when ECOWAS and the AU has become a public service where people now go as career, and not because it is there to enhance political unification of our continent, you think that ECOWAS will be of any use or AU will be of any use?
There must be a fundamental problem. What is that fundamental problem?
You understand? Because our thinking level, I worked as secretary to the Kwame Nkrumah Centenary Planning Committee. When the AU accepted to be part of the Kwame Nkrumah Centenary Planning Committee and adopted the Founders Day, 21st September, as a date on the African Union's calendar, do you know that the AU's pledge to the Kwame Nkrumah Centenary Organization Committee had to take the European Union to give them some money before they can come and support? The African Union had to rely on the European Union's donation or commitment to the African Union to be able to execute its programs. When ABA tells you that when you have your mouth in another man's kitchen,
you can't assert your independence.
You can't assert your independence. That is the situation of the African Union. Even our headquarters, we could not build it by ourselves.
Yeah.
The Chinese have to come and build our AU headquarters for us. The bust of Kwame Nkrumah, that was the only bust that was there. It had to be created by the Chinese. Kwame, as for education, the least said about it, the better.
Well, I'm not limiting it to the education.
No, I'm just trying to expand this point.
Please do.
Kwame, and I'm sure that all of us did elementary or basic science. And my favorite is that they defined matter. You know matter. They say anything that has weight
and occupy space,
and can occupy space. How do you say that in Fanti? So tell me.
No, I'm saying a bit more.
But we have to think about it. That is his problem.
Yes. So when we go to school and we are taught matter is anything that has weight and can occupy space, and there are three forms of matter: solid, liquid, gas.
Yes,
and you finish and you get. They are driving when there is a problem on their car. They are calling the wayside fitter. Meanwhile, you went to school to learn mechanical engineering. I hope you understand what I'm trying to do. So that we are not able to link our environment to the education. So we go to school, learn. And when you go to school, they'll go and tell you, London Bridge is falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling. That is what we are told in school. London Bridge is falling down. So what? What has that got to do with the environment in which we have? So my kids don't sing London Bridge. They rather sing Sankana Bridge is falling down. Do you understand? So it is important that our education is styled to meet our peculiarities. Have you seen the quote attributed to Putin? Putin said that we are in a continent where our people and English is made compulsory and agriculture is optional. And so you speak good English in empty stomach.
Nothing, yeah.
Do you understand? You speak good English in empty stomachs. Because agriculture is our mainstay. That is where we have comparative advantage, so the economics would say. Yet, we don't study anything about agriculture in our schools. And so when you don't study anything in agriculture and you go and learn English and become proficient in English, and when I'm speaking my English, somebody will tell you that you should have used was instead of is. After you have done that, you realize that you cannot find food to eat. So our education must relate to our environment and to ensure that we are able to enhance our productivity. Kwame, we used to use animals to do plowing. Do you know that the animal plows, we have to import them? When we have blacksmiths,
wow,
that can simply look for these metals that are of no use and put them together so we can plow. We establish laws because those laws are supplanted on us. One of the laws, when our blacksmiths, you know that they do local guns. When they produce their local guns, we go to arrest them. Right? Meanwhile, we have been importing guns for our security services. Instead of identifying those people who can do guns, so that we can standardize their operations and issue them licenses to produce certain standard of guns for us, we have criminalized their activities. And yet, we import guns. So when you import, you don't know that you have sent money out. You don't know that you have created employment for those countries. It's sickening.
Right. You want to make a few, yeah. Please proceed.
On the language score, I think he's touched on it. But science and language is part of the fundamentals for our growth. I said it's one of the growth poles. When China shut their doors for 20 years, yeah. When they opened it, they were almost a developed country. Do you get it? Japan, what language are they using? China, what language are they using? So we say science and the language. If we had concentrated that we're going to use one of our local languages as our lingua franca, we would have developed the language for all this science-related equipment and tools and everything. So that the explanation of matter wouldn't have been a problem for that child because he would have gotten it from the get-go. And that is very important to our leadership. Language is very key and important for our growth. Okay? English language has been part of the inhibitions. When I was teaching in advancement school, there was one teacher, economics teacher, and when he's teaching, sometimes he uses the local language to break some of the theorems down. And you get the kids understanding what he's saying and relating it to their home situations. Then, and his students were doing very well in economics. Okay? So I look at him and say, why do you use your, I wasn't man the principles, the concepts and everything, and he breaks down them down, and the kids understand and are able to then use their understanding to explain that thing in the English language. Yeah. And they score very good marks. He's now a district director. I don't want to mention his name. It tells you that if we had adopted a language for, schools and co.
You should mention his name for praise.
Yeah. It would have been a very good thing for all of us. China is a key example. Japan is a key example.
And Singapore.
Yes, because sometimes the people understand the whole thing, but because of language barrier, they don't know how to apply.
I schooled in Germany.
Yes.
The Germans speak good English.
Yeah.
But anytime you meet a German and you ask, do you speak English? Then they will tell you, ich spreche ein bisschen English. What it means is that they speak a little bit of English. Meanwhile, they speak well, and sometimes their constructions are better than yours.
Yes.
But they are proud in their Deutsch.
Yeah. Good. Now, sometimes with this, the language aspect to and the curriculum, I will praise Dr. Duchum and his team for the new curriculum they're fashioning out. That will be practical based and cool. But it's going to be language issues. If we're going to adopt a language, as he said, for Africa or for Ghana, that will help us so that we move forward. But the rote memorization and all that, I think we need to be drifting away from, and that is what the new curriculum is doing. I praise the Adepoku and the team under the minister for what they are doing. Kwame,
yes, sir.
The Europeans trained us and psyched us to see
for their benefits.
For them.
I mean, this is very simple.
For them. And they've gone 65 years, Kwame. We are still towing that track. You get it? And so I don't think we should blame them. We need to blame ourselves. We've had leadership after leadership after leadership who haven't seen the need for us to reorient our minds to suit what we need for our own growth, to be a competition to them. That is the challenge. And so don't blame. So sometimes when they say reparation and co, you know, what are we talking about? Our people went in hinterland, captured people, brought them to Almina, and then shipped them away. You and I, Almina. So, so that is sometimes, but hey, let's get it. And then the agriculture angle, it's very, that one too, I'll praise one of my own. So the Honorable Brian Champong, the new policy and program he's pushing, PFJ Phase 2, is to get encourage
I tried reaching out to him for,
yes, get
for
him.
an interview.
Yes,
he didn't respond. So yeah.
Oh no, we'll try get him. We'll talk to some people. He's that open and will grant that interview. The Phase 2, he's trying to encourage the local farmers and then get land banks so that groups can come into commercial farming as well. Okay.
Can I say something?
Yes.
The Phase 2 that was announced around May, soon after the minister was appointed. I was probably one of the first person to meet with the minister to find out, because what I saw in the statement that was released was that they were going to support farmers with the inputs.
Yes.
So that when you, and they will cost the inputs for you. So all the inputs you require, from seed to fertilizer to weedicides, will be given to you once you can establish that you have a certain acreage of land. And they will give you, because if you know every acreage, you know the plant population, you know the fertilizer that is minimally required and all that.
No, extension officers will even guide you.
So we did. Kwame, when he said that, I said, so when he said by June, we will plant our soya and maize around July, knowing very well that because we are doing a minimum of, we call it minimum scale farming. If you do it early and you are harvesting within the range.
I'll come to you.
Kwame, we went and cleared lots of land. We finished clearing our land only to realize that the policy has not been evolved. You go and evolve the policy after the planting and farming season. That is the challenge we have. I think that the idea is good, but the timing...
No, it's a 5-year policy. It's a 5-year.
No, let him make his
point. You understand? You announced that this thing was going to roll out in June.
Yeah.
People took advantage of that policy pronouncement. They cleared lots of land.
Yeah.
Probably those who even have capacity will say, okay, let's plant, let's buy the seeds, and now wait for the other inputs. When they finished, we were lucky along the line. We cleared a lot of land. Then when we started, we noticed that the policy was not coming. We have in excess of 150 acres of land that we cleared that we could not plow. And you know the cost of clearing land? 5,000 Ghana cedis a day per dozer, excluding the diesel of 1 drum that you have to buy. So if people were relying on this one alone, Kwame, you have failed. And I'm saying that, yes, it's good. My idea is that, look, except you decide to make it as usual, to limit it to party folks. If you don't do it that way and you expand, and I have said this time without number, the food I produce in my farm it's possible President Akufo-Addo eats it. Because when they go to the market, they will not be able to distinguish between the food that is produced from my farm. Probably you eat it, I don't know.
Uncle Pratt eats it.
Yeah.
Everybody, including you.
So that's good.
But that's a good observation. So I think that you should, we should engage the minister. You see, my problem is that most of the ministers,
he's accessible.
But you see, we do not have to beg them to appear. Their job is to respond to the people. And that is why sometimes I mention Rwanda, people don't understand. In Rwanda, the minister's number is on Facebook. And when you call a minister, he doesn't pay. And you report him. That's it. That's the end of the minister. But in Ghana, we worship them. We worship the ministers. They want us to worship them. No.
You studied in Rwanda.
Yeah.
You didn't see Paul Kagame drive himself and come and sit down and eat food and drive back.
Yes. No, we need to check that. The minister, look.
But they are getting closer.
Even the Dr. Abichum that you mentioned. Listen, I'm telling you something. Abichum that you mentioned. Okay? He was only accessible when a friend of mine happened to have worked in his office. And then he organized a press conference. Then my friend said, Kwame, you guys, you are watched across the country. Pan African Television is the biggest station in Ghana. No doubt about it. Forget the hype. Do you understand? And people watch us a lot, religiously.
That's true.
So then, Kwame, please, can you come and attend the press conference? That is when I came there. When I came there, I saw him. I was one of the people who advocated for him to be Minister for Education. I was one of the, I sat on this platform and advocated, and I called him thereafter and I said, oh, I have done this for you because I think that you have XYZ. Then they said, oh, Kwame, immediately I win, I will grant you an interview. Be the first TV station that to.
And he did.
He didn't. He invited me to his office. I went with one of my workers, sat there for hours on end, and the minister, I sent him a message. He read it. Never because why would I like
he's ready to show you the new policies, the technology, the TVETs.
Bro,
now try.
Listen to me. No, I would not want to interview him again. I'm done with him. But the point I'm making is that I will never come and sit on national television and lie.
No.
I will never do that.
I'm not saying.
And I have a
because he's excited explaining the new policy direction.
The point I am making is that our leaders are accountable to us.
They are.
And they should not think that the office that they are occupying, they are occupying the office because they are exceptional human beings. No. It is because they are privileged.
And this material to sell.
Yes, to sell the people.
Now let me run up on
but the man is busily trying to become a vice president.
No, I know that. Who doesn't know that? We all know that. But
the favorite is Matthew Poku Prempe.
They are pure speculation, so you don't.
No, but you see, but that's the point. And that is so. And when we went there, we reported as we saw. I will not come and sit and pander to the minister because he's a minister. If I find something wrong with this ministry,
Richard Ahiagba, you are really
Richard is a
part of the whole thing.
Richard
let me tell you something. This morning I was called to be deployed, and so I said, "Oh, I'm going on." So come on, go. I mean, this is about the third time.
No, Richard is a progressive. Richard is a progressive.
They are talking positivity. The last part is.
So you need to advise your ministers. It's important.
Brian has rolled out something fantastic. Those who are going to be the link between these things, and then we call them the aggregators. And what we do. That one, he is a farmer. Like next time, maybe we titillate our minds on that. The aggregator, and we call it the credit concept. You get it? And it's likely to replace what we call the subsidy approach. Because sometimes the subsidy, he knows the smuggling and all that that happens. And so you harvest and then you pay in kind. And then, so I think it's a very forward-looking thing that we need to encourage. It's a 5-year program. It's unfortunate this year is delayed and
let's proceed. Let's proceed.
But I just traveled across the country and I've seen a lot of huge farms. Unfortunately, the spillage of Bagre dams. We'll get there later.
Nasir Mohammed has sent a very, very important message. He said the language issue is important,
very key.
But we shouldn't overplay it when we destroy our educational system. When Singapore had independence, they said English is the language of commerce and technology, and therefore adopted it. Today, Singapore is one of the most advanced nations in the world. So that alone should not be blamed. We can develop our languages alongside English and adopt the technological terms into our local ones before moving over. And no, I agree with you, and I think that is essentially what we are saying. Abdullah was saying, says, OAU is consisting African leaders, and African leaders are corrupt, selfish, and foolish. There is a saying, African presidents today, African presidents are tomorrow prisoners. Laws should be put in place to ban leaders going out for medical treatment. Their children should attend local public schools by law. Political positions should be made less financially attractive. Then you realize that only those who belong to our society will become our rulers. These people ruling us have their interests out of Africa. How can they develop Africa when their interests are outside? Yemi Lawal sent in this one. Mumene bin Salam said, I salute you, Bernard. This one says, Theodin. Akufo-Addo's 80 governance with his family have acquired more wealth than Ali Bongo and his family 50 years rule in Gabon.
It's not true. It's not true.
Theodin, good morning to you and your panelists, especially Bernard, who has demonstrated consistency, passion, and knowledge in Pan-Africanism. We need more souls from this continent to chart this narrow path to salvage the continent from the clutches of wicked, selfish, ignorant African leaders who, instead of pushing the welfare or end interests of their citizens, have become agents of recolonization. My viewers are so intelligent. Thank you. Now let's come back to Ghana. There are several other issues that we are faced with, and I think it's important to address them. I was happy when I saw the NDC finally decide that they want to go to court in respect of this limited voting registration exercise. Now, my position, and unless I'm convinced beyond reasonable doubt that my position is the accurate position, my position is that the Constitution grants us rights and liberties. The Constitution enjoins us to exercise those rights and liberties. One of those rights and liberties are that people are allowed to vote and choose their leaders. Now, there are processes which leads to the conclusion for people, voting and electing their leaders. One of the processes is to register as a voter if you turn 18 years. And that process is superintended by the Electoral Commission. Okay, so the Electoral Commission is just sort of a supervisor to ensure that people are registered, so that they can effectively.
The Constitution has given
them beautiful. Thank you for even the addition. That the Constitution has given them that right or mandate to superintend over that exercise, in order that people can exercise their constitutional mandate, also given to them by the Constitution. Now, if you are engaged, or if you decide to engage in this exercise, one would think that you should make it an open exercise, so that all and sundry, everybody who has turned 18 years can take advantage of that, and it's of sound now, of course. I mean, all tears of sound, all those ones, right? And lives within the community can take advantage of the exercise and register, so that they can change their leaders. And that is why our democracy is thriving. The fact that somebody knows that after 4 years, you understand? After 4 years, to kick some. So that is what is, in my estimation, is protecting our democracy.
That's true.
You, the EC, you are saying that you want to limit the exercise, or you want to rather confine the exercise to specifics. That's the problem. Now, what do you have to say to this? Now, NDC, having raised several concerns about this matter, has decided now to go to court. And do you think that this is the way to go? Because I think in the beginning, MPP also supported this.
We still support.
But why didn't you join them to go to court?
That's the position of our Director of Elections and Research. So we are there. And Kwame.
Yes, sir.
I don't understand the EC. For whatever reason, they are saying they are sticking to that position. I heard Dr. Bosman Asari saying they are going to stick to that, and that is the program they are rolling out from the 12th of September up to 2nd of October. And I don't know why they are being obstinate. Because, Kwame,
yes, sir,
some in districts, from one district capital to the last village, the distance is such that it's not easy. I told you I just went around the country, and from Nalerugu to Bumpurugu is not easy. And when it rains, you're likely to have the road cut off. And then, if you start and the road is cut off, how do you assess the district capital, which is Bumpurugu?
No, there was a bridge in Walewale.
We passed through. Yeah, we went there, you know. And so, these are some of the challenges. And I keep saying, when I was working in the Sekri area, my village, Menukrum, you walk to Broni here to a Kontomran. Then you sleep, at dawn 4 a.m., you get a car, and then you move to Rosso. That's the district capital. Then you do whatever you do. By 12:01, you must get the car back to your village. You get it? And so, and it's not small journey. About 48 kilometers or miles thereabout to the district capital. And so, somebody just wanting to register. The cost alone will be an inhibition of him to go. And that the Constitution, to exercise their constitutional right, you need not to put heavy impediments on their way. It should be minimal. That's why the electoral area process is good. You get it, about 6,000 electoral areas, then it's reachable. Okay, minimal cost, they are there, they register, and they go. But moving all the way from their village to the district capital is an impediment. Okay, I agree that yes, we going onto the continuous registration mode. That one, anytime you turn 18, you go. You have your Ghana card and all that. You do that. But this one, there's one thing, Kwame, I think the EC is sending a wrong signal, that the district assembly election is not that important.
Yeah.
That's what they are saying to us. That is not that important. Because Dr. Bosman Asari is saying that after this, there will be another this thing. After the assembly election, there will be another this which will be spread across and all that. So you mean to say that if people, and of course, even as of now, the interest is not that high in the assembly elections. Okay? We want to bring it up. And you are doing this. This will inhibit people. Okay? And show disinterest in the assembly elections. Please, let's listen to this. We don't need to go to court. It's not everything that we need to be going to court. The NDC and their team, they've done well. But Kwame, Dr. Afarijan has advised the NDC. I pray they
should join the IPAC.
They should go back. They should go back. Make your case, even if she is adamant, recalcitrant, and impervious. Okay? Something, she will hear it. That little voice in her mind and her team will begin to reflect on it. That first, we are here to serve the interest of the people, okay? And the people are saying this is where to go, okay? Why don't we?
I'm glad you brought this up. What is the purpose of IPAC?
Oh, it's an inter-party advisory committee.
To who? To who?
To the people of Ghana.
No, to the Electoral Commission.
Or
the Commission.
Yes. Inter-party. So exactly. So that they put their ideas and thinking and thoughts before the EC. So that the EC can look at it and see whether it is good and progressive and forward-looking or it's not good. They have the final say.
Yes.
But at least it's been brought before them.
Yes.
You get it?
But if it is brought before them, and the EC, because what it is that parties definitely would not agree on certain matters.
Of course.
Parties may agree on certain matters. Now, on the matters which they do not agree, what is important is the weight and the relevance it carries.
And you become
in that community. Absolutely.
And it's relation to the constitution.
Absolutely. So, where in the estimation of one political party, his message is relevant and weighty, but the admissibility of that advice is brought to question, then obviously it raises eyebrows as to whether or not
and
the EC is in
political parties.
Absolutely. So in respect of matters to which there are agreements, I think that there's no qualms about it. But the IPAC, and this question or this thing that I'm saying is in relation to the IPAC.
Yes.
The question becomes, why did the NDC leave? You see, this democracy must be beneficial to all
of us.
So if there are questions, genuine ones for that matter, which have been raised by the opposition NDC, and the MPP finds it relevant, I think that you must also support it. So that in the final analysis, that those changes may happen, because no political party can stay in power forever.
Yes, of course.
Okay, tomorrow you may be, and I'm not saying yes, you may be in opposition, and those things that you failed to comment about may be biting. Maybe this time rather hard.
It's happening to the NDC.
So why don't you begin to support parties when they raise relevant rather than supporting the NDC? Because oftentimes,
I'm telling you, my director of elections and research, Evans Nimaku, openly also said no. We think because it's not only NDC people that will be losing. Some of our people are below the poverty line. You get it? Who believe in the cause of the MPP, and they will need money to travel to that district center to register. If they don't register, we're losing out. You get it? And so I think we need to come into agreement that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is also co-appeal to the EC. I pray the Electoral Commission pays heed to this call. That will obliterate the notion that we are not paying, putting much relevance on the district assembly election. It's very important. They will open. The continuous registration may come, but until then, let's use this electoral area approach. The next one, there will be polling station registration, fine. But until then, for the sake of this election, let's have the electoral area.
But there must be juxtaposition.
And I'm happy they've gone to court. Let the court decide.
There must be juxtaposition with expenditure.
Yes.
And the constitutional
where even the two major parties in parliament will then see the need to fund the money to go
to fund them. Yes, so but okay, then let me come to Bernard on this subject matter. Respectfully, please.
Kwame, I requested Eyisi's or Hima to give me a constitution.
Right.
And you read Article 1 of the 1992 Constitution, and it says, the sovereignty of Ghana resides in the people of Ghana, in whose name and for whose welfare the power of government are to be exercised in the manner and within the limits laid down in this Constitution. Right? So, the power of governance, the power and sovereignty resides in us, the people. And we, the people, elect a president who is supposed to exercise his mandate of presidency because we have the power which we gave to him.
In our interest.
Then the president goes ahead to appoint people. And the people that the president has appointed come and tell us that they are independent of us. Do you understand? That they are independent of us. How is that possible? Even the president that appointed you is not independent of the people. I hope you get my explanation. The president is not independent of the people. Then you come and the president has appointed you and you say you will not listen to us because you are an independent institution. Such arrogance, such intoxication of power is a threat to every democracy. I don't know who gave people that notion that, look, you are independent of the people. Which people elected the president and the president appointed you? You can be independent only in function. But even in that functions, you must listen to the views of the people.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yes.
There have been chiefs, and recently I listened to one of the most brilliant chiefs, I think the Goswahene, who advised the chairperson of the Electoral Commission that, hey, be careful, because ever since you were appointed chairperson of the Electoral Commission, you have not been to Goso. You don't know the communities within the area. And you know, and what did the man say? That from JB or some village to come to Nsumuru, do you know
the distance?
The distance.
And how tedious it is.
And that they are talking They want people to go and be part of our democracy. The cost to us is that the state has borne all the cost of our electoral processes. So when you are going to take a voters register, I still want to, but you can read it for me.
No, go ahead.
No, I will get to,
right.
I'll get to Article 42 and 45.
Okay, then no, that's what I wanted to refer to, so you can have it.
Do you understand? Yeah. So, Kwame, it's obvious that when our chiefs are talking and telling you that, look, we come from these communities, and what exercise you want to embark on will not work. You know the problem you are putting. The NPP is about going for primaries. Probably the NDC is safe. But because the NPP is about going for primaries, Eyisi, who is a candidate in waiting, is burdened because people will start to call him and say, we are in these communities. We want to go to the electoral office, district office to go and what?
Register.
And register. So he has to now go and steal or cough money. Oh yes. I'm saying that you may have to go and steal or cough money to go and get people. Do you know the burden imposed on you? So if you don't have money to transport people to the district offices, those who have money will transport people to the district offices, and good people like you will lose because you didn't get people to go and register. The chief was telling the EC this. But you see, Jean Mensah is overpampered.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I agree.
She has lived all her life in urban Ghana, in urban Accra. So some level of pomposity is overcrowding her. Look, Jean Mensah is the first chairperson of Electoral Commission guided by soldiers. Why? If you were doing right things, even the vice president is not guided by soldiers, it's police. That institution is guided by soldiers. We have reduced the potency of our military to guiding chairpersons of Electoral Commission. Why are we doing this? Now, Kwame, go to Article 42, which I took the Constitution for.
Yeah, read it.
It says that every citizen of Ghana of 18 years of age or above and of sound mind has the right to vote.
Of course.
And is entitled to be registered as a voter for the purposes of public elections and referenda.
Simplicity, that's what the Constitution says. I mean, it's simple.
No, it cannot be simple. Because if the actors at the Electoral Commission, you don't check the level of sound mind, it cannot be simple.
Well,
because I think that the question of sound mind that the Constitution put here, we must test those who are the managers,
the electoral officers.
The electoral officers. From Jean Mensah to Bosman to Apiahene, we have to check their level of soundness, because some of these things they are doing defeat common sense. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Because Eyisi will not be speaking passionately if the thing doesn't defeat common sense. So that's why I'm saying that don't say it's simple, because the thing say that, and of sound mind, have we checked the level of their sanity? Because if you don't check that and conclude that it's simple, we are in danger. Now go to Article 45 and maybe 45E. It says that the Electoral Commission shall have the following functions. E, to undertake programs for the expansion of the registration of voters.
Yeah.
This thing that you are doing, are you not limiting the registration of voters? Persons that are qualified, and you see, just look at the timing. And I say this with passion. Persons, majority of whom are qualified to be on the voters register, are in SHS. Majority of them are writing their WASI at this time. You have gone to establish a registration period at the time that they are registering for WASI. How are they going to leave their preparations for exams that will contain their future to come and do registration? They should leave their schools. So my son should leave his school in the eastern region and travel 12 hours to Wa and go to Nadoli. And probably when he gets to Nadoli, he will not...
WASI ends around 27, so they have about 5 days.
They don't go through, what do we call it, processes to get out of school. You know what I'm talking about. And so, even if you are doing these things, common sense, that's why I'm saying that you should check soundness of mind. Common sense should tell you that the registration period and the category of people you are looking for to be on the register, the timing could be wrong. And Kwame, the other thing that will call for the sanity. Why are they insistent on doing a limited registration now? They are insistent on doing a limited registration now because they want to capture people into the voters register to enable them do the district assembly elections. Yeah. So when you are limiting people's capacity to get into the voters register, how are they going to participate in the district assembly elections? So, you see, I think that the framers of the Constitution, we have to look for them and applaud them. Because the question of sound mind is something that we must take seriously. Not only of the voters, but also of the management of the...
We've laced with mischief.
When it is your turn, you decide not to overstretch it. It is my turn to speak. Because some of these things, they defeat common purpose. Now, my sadness. I've seen about 5 or so political parties who are unhappy. First did a press conference that at IPAC, they raised these objections. The EC told them that they will get back to them. And before they could say anything, the EC had gone to announce that they were going to do this registration at the district offices. And these 5 political parties, Convention People's Party, Liberal Party, National Democratic Party,
are they really party
Congress? You mean NDC?
Would you shut up your mouth and allow me to talk?
Proceed.
I don't like
Proceed,
that. You should concentrate on Ohima, who is here confusing people.
Proceed.
You know, so if you look at these parties who did a press conference, and they pointed out that they will not contain this. What was the response of the EC? They said, well, the political parties didn't agree. That was Bosman. But that this is what they have decided and they will do it. When they asked them, whether they said, yeah, they know that there will be difficulties, but this is what they want to do. Can you imagine that? If it's not arrogance, if it's not pomposity, what is this about? Then these parties are supposed to be parties, and my party, that's where my sadness is, the PNC, which is supposed to be a poor party and therefore should represent the poor people in society. When the first press conference was organized, the PNC did not participate. Our General Secretary issues a statement saying that they should ignore, we should ignore the attempt to make the voters register available and closer to us so that people can register. Whose interests are we serving in this matter? Today, political parties are going to court to say that bring the voters register closer to the people. The PNC is not part of it. How can we run a political party that does not take on board the aspirations of the very people that we want their mandate?
But as a former chairman, you should be part of the National Council of the PNC.
That is, if we even have a party headquarters, we can attend a meeting.
But where were you operating from when you were the chairman?
I had a party office. We ensured that it was functioning. Today, the police have locked up the PNC headquarters and keeping the key because of the kind of confusion they have.
What confusion?
Oh, you don't know that General Secretary is up in arms against the chairman and then the leader of the party?
For what?
For 3 years now, they cannot access party headquarters, let alone call in a meeting.
The Abavana office?
Yes. So go and see. When you pass, you just see how dilapidated it has become.
Yeah, it looks deserted.
So that is the challenge. And the PNC, when you cannot even go to your own party office to attend meetings, you are there and the General Secretary is issuing statements that says that, look, allow the Electoral Commission to go and do a registration that limits your ability to get people onto the voters register. We should be serious. Finally, Kwame, I don't know what it means that the political parties have gone to court. They are securing an injunction. It's an injunction application. Has the injunction been granted? When is it going to be granted? When is the Supreme Court going to sit? Is the EC going to respect the fact that there has been an application for injunction and therefore they cannot conduct their exercise on Tuesday? And if they don't do it on Tuesday and they have to wait for the court to make a determination, that will mean that the EC may not be able to do the limited registration because they need at least 60 days for registrants' names to be captured on the voters' roll before they can actually be activated for them to vote. And the period they have set for the limited registration, the district assembly elections, if care is not taken, the EC would have beaten itself. I think that Jean Mensah should come out of the level of arrogance, reduce herself to the humility that governs institutions. And then she can get the cooperation of all to succeed as chairperson of the Electoral Commission.
Kwame,
Yeah.
I think we should have the MPPs, my appeal to my party, if we can file application for join there to be part of this petition by the courts. What is the legal term for these friends of the courts that was
Amicus Curiae. Okay, so in the Superior Court of whatever. Okay, so I think it's not quite clear here, but if they can also project it on the screen so others can get it. So what? So this one, they are going to court in respect of Article 1221 and 131 of the Constitution. Yeah. Okay, so yes, 21 and 131 of the Constitution. Bernard, if you have the Constitution, can you read the 130? Maybe Oyema should go and read it. 130 article. Read Article 21 of the Constitution. She's not mine. So you, Bernard, just read Article 21. No, let's go to 21 of the Constitution.
Which one is 2?
And then see the basis for which they are going to court. And you see, this is a constitutional matter, constitutional interpretation. So,
Article 2:1.
Yes.
It says that a person who alleges that A, an enactment or anything contained in or done under the authority of that or any other enactment, or B, no, let me read full Article 2 before that I come to 2:1, isn't it?
Yes.
This constitution shall be the supreme law of Ghana.
Yes.
And any other law found to be inconsistent with any provision of this constitution,
To the extent of its inconsistency,
shall, to the extent of this inconsistency,
be null and void.
Be void.
Okay.
A,
Yeah.
a person who alleges that an enactment or anything contained in or done under the authority of that or any other enactment or any act or omission of a person is inconsistent or is in contravention of provisions of this constitution may bring an action in the Supreme Court for a declaration.
So
to
they are
that.
basing.
That's okay.
So if you look at it, they are actually. So it's, and then go to Article 131, which gives the Supreme Court the power to interpret the Constitution. The original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court is being
131, subject to the jurisdiction of the High Court. In the enforcement of the fundamental human rights and freedoms, as provided in Article 33 of this Constitution, the Supreme Court shall have exclusive original jurisdiction in A, all matters relating to the enforcement and interpretation of this Constitution, and B, all matters arising as to whether an enactment was made in excess of the powers conferred on Parliament or any other authority or person by law or under this constitution.
Yes. So, and you see that they are going to court on the basis of 45.1. You read 45, correct?
45,
45.1. So 45.1 is in contravention, in their submission, I think, in contravention, with 2.1 and 130 of the Constitution. And so which one will prevail? It's now what the court has to decide, and we will allow the courts to do that. So yes, we'll bring you up to date analysis of this particular proceedings when it starts. But of course, the Constitution grants the Supreme Court the original jurisdiction to determine matters relating to constitutional interpretation. And that is precisely what the NDC has done. Right, thank you, Bernard Mornah, for your time this morning.
NDC.
The NDC together with other political parties.
So you have 5 political parties.
Yeah, so you have
this is what you do,
so,
and then other political parties.
But your party is not part. If your party were to be part
even now, Eyisi is calling for a joinder.
Listen. Yes,
of the MPP to be part of it. So just admit that there is 5 political parties.
So the national, okay, well, so the NDC at this material moment, the NDC, CPP, All People's Congress, Liberal Party, Great Consolidated Party, and then they have sued the Electoral Commissioner, the Electoral Commission as a body, and then yes, so that is the writ. Well, actually, it's a petition. It's not a writ.
That's
no, it's a writ actually. Yes. Petition is only for electoral matters. But yes, this is and divorce. So this is a writ that has been issued. We'll bring you up to speed with what happens or what transpires.
I mean, just a small point.
But yes,
I have listened to experts in labor, and they are saying that the committee or commission that the president established for the review of Article 71 office holders, they should look at it critically.
Yeah.
Kwame, it doesn't sit well. The IGP and all commissioners of police, you know what they benefit?
Tell me.
They have accommodation, they have free cars, they have free fuel, and what have you. The lower ranks don't earn anything free. Then when the commissioners and those who earn fat salaries are going on retirement, they are still giving huge packages to go. Those who have nothing rather go home with nothing.
Very well.
So when labor is issuing concerns, it's important for Mr. President to listen.
Right.
And that is why it is important to review issues of Article 71 office holders so that we can all be at par.
Right. But Kwame,
finally on that,
a little of this thing. You see, some of these things are to challenge people to rise up to acquire certain skills that are needed for national governance and development.
So all of us can be
skills.
All of us can be IGPs.
To put you
all of us
in a certain bracket. So it will be incentivized, motivated to keep aspiring.
So all of us can be COPs. So all those who are qualified.
You cannot say
there are people who are in the
disregarding the acquisition of skills.
So that
and
all of us should go to COPs.
No.
Every policeman must be a COP.
Thank you guys.
Every lawyer must be a judge. Every lawyer must be a judge.
Most lawyers aspire to be the
so I'm saying that every lawyer must be a judge.
Not everyone.
No, so all the lawyers that have reached a certain stage
that is not possible.
So that they can earn the same Article 71 status.
Yes.
So you
thank you very much.
Maybe discriminatory. Thank you very much.
No, that is not
these guys, thank you very much for watching today's edition of Good Morning Africa. My name is Kwame Ousted. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'll see you guys on Monday. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.